Medical marijuana was passed in 1996, and it is here to stay in the Petaluma community. Doctors believe in its benefits, and voters consistently support it. Petaluma is a progressive and proactive community. It only makes sense that we regulate dispensaries and provide a safe, clean, taxable access to medical marijuana for local residents. My name is Robert Jacob, and I'm the Executive Director of Peace and Medicine, and I've been a supporter of medical marijuana access for nearly 20 years. Thank you.
My name is Richard W. Sharkey. I'm the Executive Director of the McDowell Drug Task Force. I'm a military school trained drug education specialist with over 41 years experience. Much of that is involving marijuana, which I started working on in 1970 at the University of Mississippi. I'm very much against the legalization of marijuana and having marijuana stores in the community. The effects of marijuana on our young people and on our community is very detrimental to the safety and the health of all of those involved. Most people do not have any idea as to the consequences of marijuana. There is a book out called Pot Safari by Peggy Mann that was put out many years ago that shows research done by some of the top researchers in the world. And they were all against this. Many studies have been done. 3 variations of the THC are now derived from marijuana. Marinol, which is used for cancer victims, Nabilone, which is used for AIDS patients, and a new drug just has been derived from it that's used for multiple sclerosis. And this is over a course of over 40 years. And we find that folks that are using marijuana are using it for ingrown toenails, toothaches, earaches, everything imaginable when there are medications in the field of medicine that are available to cover all of that. It has become a big business. Young people are now getting false medical marijuana cards, and I don't believe in the word medical marijuana because they grow it, they dry it, they smoke it. And much research needs to be done, and this state has the highest rate of autism and ADA and ADH, and much of that is due, I truly believe, because of the nature of the drug use, marijuana use in this state over the years. So I'm truly against having any of these so-called pot stores in our community. I think the safety of our children, the health of our children, the safety of this country, the health of this country is paramount, and we all need to work on that. I hope that I've made a point and that people will take that to heart. I do what I do in the community because I care. It's not about money. I've never taken a penny for what I do, and anybody would like to challenge me, I'm ready for that challenge.
My name is Gabe Kearney. I'm one of the city council members here in Petaluma, and I was asked to talk a little bit about medical marijuana and dispensaries being located here in Petaluma. During our goal setting session this year, one or more of the council members brought up the idea of legalizing dispensaries here in Petaluma as a way of generating revenue outside of the traditional retail sales tax methods of bringing in money. And so in the city of Petaluma, we've asked our staff to go out and research it and prepare a report for us that we should be getting in the next couple months here that will look at what are the pros and cons of having dispensaries here in Petaluma. one of the things that we have the benefit of now that other municipalities have had dispensaries for a couple years is we can look at what's been working and what hasn't been working in those jurisdictions and make the decision as to what's going to be best for us here in Petaluma based on the data that we get from those cities and looking at what's going on there. When we look at the examples of cities that have dispensaries and how well it's been working or how well it isn't working, we can look at Sebastopol and Santa Rosa, our two neighbors, as well as Cotati, a third neighbor, that have dispensaries. When we look at those examples, one of the issues that's going to come up is crime. And has Cotati or Sebastopol seen a big increase in crime since they have allowed dispensaries to open in their jurisdictions? And I don't think that the data is there to prove that. One of the other things that we can look at is whether or not use of marijuana by teenagers or by those that don't necessarily need medical marijuana has gone up. And I can't speak to that data yet, but I'm sure we're going to see information on both sides. And so what our job at the City Council is going to be is to take those two sides of the picture and make the decision that's best for the City of Petaluma. Currently, when I look at the issue, it seems as though it's something that we can do here in Petaluma that would help those people that need to purchase medical marijuana instead of having to travel somewhere else to purchase it, and at the same time increase revenue into the city. I would propose that if we were going to allow the dispensaries, that we would add on a special tax and divvy it up between both the general fund, so we can continue to fund things like street repairs and paying for the police officers and fire suppression and things like that, but also put a portion of the money aside so we can do prevention programs specifically aimed at youth to prevent them from starting to use recreational marijuana to begin with. And so looking at police athletic leagues and different programs that are proven to prevent drug use and gang activity would be, I think, the wise way to use the funds that we raise from this, or that come from allowing dispensaries. So not only are we increasing the amount of money that goes to funding for the law enforcement side of the house, we're also bringing in money to the general fund and allowing people to spend their money here in town and buy it here in town. We also have to be wise in what locations we approve for that. So obvious locations that would be ruled out would be anywhere near a school, anywhere near like a movie theater. You're not going to see, in my opinion, a medical marijuana dispensary in our historic downtown. This is something that would be better suited for the other areas of town where children aren't walking by on a regular basis. So it's not right in front of their face. So, when this issue comes to the City Council, we'll look at both sides of the picture and make the decision that's best for the citizens of Petaluma as we see it.
The issue of medicinal marijuana may very well come before the Petaluma City Council, but before it does, this is an issue that is going to have to go to the community, in my opinion, and get a lot of public input from the community. It's clear that if you look back on the elections that took place a year ago, November, that 65% of the city of Petaluma actually voted to legalize marijuana. So when you look at medicinal marijuana and you look at for pain relief, is it a tool that has a place? I think it does, but is it a tool that the city of Petaluma would be capable of implementing? That may be more problematic. I'm particularly concerned right now with the fact that the federal government seems to be out there on a crackdown basis in other communities on such facilities. So if Petaluma were going to look at this as something that would have to be analyzed, it would have to be in compliance with federal law, where the windows are, where the federal law has said that they were not at least going to enforce. And I'm not sure that we'd be capable of reaching that standard. I think one thing Petaluma has to be very careful about is that they don't wind up with an approval of a facility on a local basis that could lead to exposure for the community of Petaluma, whether it's enforcement exposure, that an issue can't be enforced under laws consistent with the state of California and the federal government, or whether it's a situation where we're just to wind up in courts defending ourselves, because we're in no position, in my opinion, to chase sales tax revenues or fee revenues from the sale of medicinal marijuana at the expense of legal fees or enforcement issues. So this is something that's a long way away, in my opinion, from coming before the City Council in a manner that could be an ordinance that could be implemented. It is a discussion that I think is worth having. That's why I'm happy to do this soundbite for the Argus Courier, just as a way of putting it out into the community. I don't think anyone should panic that there is the potential of a facility coming anytime soon to the city of Petaluma. If there were a facility, it would be limited in my mind to one, and that it would have to be in an area that is far removed from young people, whether it's schools or whether it's churches or playgrounds. So there's a whole lot of public input that is still necessary before any action could be taken in this regard.